Hello, welcome to the Velvet Guide. People have been asking, hey Jaspas, is Velvet good? Bruh, she's a pilgrim level character in the form of a 2% body, insanely good. And it's not all about the power level, it's also about how freaking good she looks. Oh! So what does Velvet do? 6,000 ammo in an ammo pouch. This is at the cost of 100 ammo from her ammo pouch. But the real power comes in skill 2. Skill 2 is absolutely insane. There's two different versions of skill 2. One when she bursts and one when she's off burst. When she is off burst, 300 ammo. All allies attack up 25% of caster's attack. This is the crux of what makes her super duper powerful. Expands ammo from ammo pouch to deal additional damage to the enemy. 300 rounds. Every 50 shots, she spends 300 more shots. Attack damage up 15% for 5 seconds. Effect number 3 affects the target, deals 400% of final attack as additional damage. Now, most DPS characters require this line of text to become truly dangerous and truly powerful. The fact that Velvet has this 400% of final attack as additional damage per 50 normal attacks means that she can be quite a serious DPS character. Her burst skill is called Perfect Execution, cooldown rate 20 seconds. This means every single full burst cycle, she's involved in it. Attack damage up 34.5% for 10 seconds. So we combine the 34.5% from here, this attack damage, with the 15% here from the landing 50 normal attacks. We have attack damage up 50% all the time whenever you're in full burst. Assuming that you're using Velvet as your main character, she's doing big ass damage. Many people slept on Velvet. Why? Because of this amount 300 rounds. They're like, what is that? What does that even mean? All she does is increase charge damage up 100% and attack up 25%. That sucks. Little did most people know that Velvet has a hidden interaction with one of the most powerful Nikkes in the game, Lil Mermaid Siren. You see, Lil Mermaid Siren has an ability, activates each time the total ammo expended by allies reach 400, affects all allies, fills burst gauge by 37%. The scary thing about Velvet is that when she triggers her abilities, such as when she does a full charge while not in full burst, immediately it counts as 100 rounds expended. Are you hearing this? That's insane. That's freaking insane. That means that you're going to hit full burst much faster than initially intended. We go down to here. There's another ability, activates each time the total ammo expended by allies reaches 500, affects random enemy units. 85% of final attack as damage times 10, 850% damage. 500 ammo, that's gonna take a lot of people a lot of time to reach. Not Velvet though. If you look over here, in a full burst, when Velvet shoots a full charge shot off burst, she immediately hits 300 rounds. The ammo pouch that Velvet has, we do a full charge shot, this 6,000 ammo, boom, drops down to 5,900, 5,800, 5,700. Check out, we only built this much burst in those 3 shots. But once I hit 400, Siren's burst gauge filling ability is going to trigger, and then this is going to skyrocket. Watch this. Holy! Yeah, so it's exactly because of this ability right here, the ability to trigger and use up 300 ammo, whether you're doing a full charge shot or you're using the machine gun mode, that allows Velvet to synergize with Siren so freaking well. The ammo pouch ability is freaking fantastic. Does this mean that you can only use Velvet in the situation where you want Siren to be a DPS character? No. You can also use Velvet as an off-burst burst 2 character. In such a situation, how would you build Velvet? Well, here's my recommendation. Instead of building her 777 like you might think, what we're gonna do is we're gonna build her 1, skill 2, level 10, burst skill, level 1. As an off-burst character, Velvet is extremely cheap to build. Level 1, level 10, level 1. 110 1. It doesn't get much cheaper than that. The reason why we're going 110 1 is because skill 1 only triggers when you're outside of full burst. technically if you're playing the game right, you should be only outside of full burst for like 2 to 3 seconds every cycle, every full burst cycle, 20% of the time. The other 80% of the time you want to be in Bullets of Love mode. And using Velvet as an off burst, you really want to care about this. Affects all allies, attack up 25.2% of the caster's attack for 3 seconds continuously, as well as the charge damage up 100.8% for 3 seconds continuously. These two parts are the most valuable part of Velvet's kit and will help you chase big R damage. As for the equipment itself, if you're a new player and you're just trying to build a solid team, I guess getting her to overload gear 0000 is fine. Basically your gear on her doesn't really need to be that strong. Now, if you're a smart commander, you're probably looking at this line and thinking to yourself, charge damage up 100.8% for 3 seconds continuously, that's insane! I want that all the time, insert it into my veins! That begs the question, which rocket launchers and which sniper rifle characters are good in conjunction with Velvet off burst? Essentially, the characters that work very well with Velvet are the ones that most of their damage output is tied to their normal attacks. One example of a Nikke whose abilities are tied to their normal attacks would be Red Hood. When she bursts, she's just going bam 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 bam. Each of those shots counts as a normal attack, which is the opposite of somebody like Cinderella, whose burst skill triggers and does a lot of special burst damage, and then she shoots normal attacks that do a certain amount of damage as well. Most of Cinderella's damage output comes from the burst skill, whereas most of the damage output of Red Hood comes from the attack, the normal attacks that happen during the burst skill, if that makes sense. So what are some examples of rocket launchers and sniper rifles that are good in conjunction with Velvet? Red Hood, Bunny Milk, Alice, Nayuta, and to a lesser extent SBS, Liberalio. Whereas which ones are bad? Cinderella, Winter Diesel. If you're familiar with the meta of Nikke Goddess of Victory, you probably have been thinking about using Velvet in conjunction with this team right here. And this probably will be the highest damaging team in wind type, right? But does it make sense to run this entire team in a solo raid? Probably not. This is because too much of the opportunity cost is being lost in this team setup right here. Instead of using Nayuta just as a simple buffer, you can use her as the Miranda Super Cannon team character. Instead of using Scarlet Black Shadow and Liberalio with this entire setup, you can use it with the maids, and then you can push even more damage out. Or certain characters, instead of being an off-burst support character, can actually be a full-on DPS character. What's the deal with Velvet as an on-burst character? You see, the moment you change her from an off-burst character to an on-burst character, Velvet plays a completely different role in the team. Instead of buffing the entire team, she instead only buffs herself. She gives herself attack damage up, as well as dealing 400% of final attack as damage to the enemy. If you think about it, this means that as long as you're willing to build up Velvet, her burst damage has a very high DPS threshold, because none of this damage that she's doing right now comes from attack buffs. Most of it, in fact 400% of it, comes from that skill 2 ability. As such, you can build the entire team around her, and since she is a 20-second cooldown burst 2 character, she's gonna burst every single rotation, allowing her to do big ass damage. If you can build up her overload gear to have that 100% elemental damage dealt and that 50% attack up, in conjunction with her own personal skill level 50% attack damage up, oh my gosh, Velvet is going to be a beast, an absolute beast. Now, to maximize Velvet's damage output, you want to get some attack buffs onto Velvet. Recommended burst 1 characters are characters like Litter, Label, but then you're going to have a cooldown rate character to tag along with Label. Red Hood, but you have to have another second burst 1 character. Or even Emma, tactical upgrade. Basically, you want a character that gives her a lot of attack up. And if you want to find a little bit more attack, To support Velvet in the burst tree compartment, you can use Wind Ray along with Wind Aska. That's one selection. Or you could use Noir, or you could use Privity. I particularly am extremely excited for the upcoming Treasure Privity. Technically, if you really want to support Velvet, you could use Crown of Burst. But at that point, what the fuck are you doing, right? Like, that's just insane behavior. Why would you do that? Now, if you want to use Velvet as your DPS Burst 2 character, you probably want to have 4 lines of attack on her, as well as 4 lines of elemental damage dealt. I've been really unlucky with my rolls, but let's take a look at what she can do in this with 2 lines of elemental damage dealt and 2 lines of attack up. So also, if you want to use your Velvet as a DPS character, you don't want to build her 1-10-1, you want to build her 1-10-10 or even 4-10-10. With a team build like this, you can see that Velvet right now is doing some pretty serious damage. Keep in mind that this is a Velvet that only has 40% elemental damage dealt, as well as I think 15% attack. So in the future, when we get her to like 90% elemental damage dealt, 40 something percent attack, she's gonna be quite a menace. Quite powerful indeed. Try to get Velvet up to 5050 or even 5550 with skill levels 4-10-10 or maybe 7-10-10 if you really want to min-max her damage output. Get her some collection items, get her this, and if you truly want to maximize her damage output, remember buy her skin. I'm kidding, but her skin is coming soon, so if you want to get a copy of the skin, yeah. So yeah, that's my quick guide to Velvet. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it and you learned something from it. I think the funniest thing about Velvet is that before she came out, people thought that she was gonna be mid. Easy skip, I saw many people say on Twitter. To be fair, majority of us didn't know about the interaction between Velvet and Siren, but even if that interaction didn't exist, I think Velvet still is pretty good. She probably has 90% the effectiveness of Crown of Burst, specifically when you're dealing with rocket launchers and sniper rifle burst 3 DPS characters. Enough yapping, enough fliffer-flapping about. That was the Velvet guide. Thank you guys very much for watching. DJ and Lord Jaspas. I'm signing off. Hope you enjoyed it and take care of yourself. I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Alright, bye bye. Jiggle physics, 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 jiggle